This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
You guys, I have something to confess to you.
Go on.
Something I haven't told anyone before.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Something that may shock you. I am Kaiser Soze.
What?
I'm also Tyler Durden.
No.
Plus, I'm the fifth element. Oh, and I'm your father. And I'm made of people. And I've been dead this whole time. Rosebud?
You had me at Kaiser Soze.
I just wanted to let you guys know this. It
I
may
think
change your
that's the end of the
perspective.
show. I think you ruined whatever this show may
I
be
didn't
about.
spoil anything if you think about it carefully.
Spoilers.
I said I am. But welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Zach.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last show, our Harry Dresden, our Dresden Files, I should call it, Dresden Files show.
Yeah.
With Stephen. Thank you, Stephen, for coming on the show. We had a good time with you and hope you enjoyed your time as well. And
It was a deep dive into something I never thought we would even consider on the show.
I was actually, when we were on the Bacon Council meeting and they brought that up, I went, that could actually work. And from what I hear, people actually liked it.
People like books.
People like books. Yeah, they liked the pitch we gave them.
Yeah. When we have a couple awesome comments on social media, like Shane Hyatt on Facebook says, I've been looking for a new book series to listen to at work. I just downloaded the first 2 books from Audible. So
there you go.
Wow.
Instant,
Only
instant
15 more to go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Why didn't we do a sponsorship before this?
Yeah.
Dang it. Ryan Farron on Facebook says, good job, Stephen. I've wanted Baconsale to talk more books. Thanks to you and Drew, we now have 2 book episodes. Looking forward
7 seasons.
Looking forward to future installments of Baconsale Book Club. I will check out the Calvin Coolidge biography mentioned in that episode, and then the first Harry Dresden book.
Basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Those 2 books.
Both wizards.
How am I supposed to have time to read books when I'm binge watching Muppet shows?
Yeah, well, are you done?
Are
you watching the show?
Guys, can we just do it one time?
What?
It's the Muppet Show! Yay! Okay, thank you. And then
Still, okay.
At Love Shannon on Instagram says, I love, in all capitals, love this series. I watched the TV series and got hooked.
Wow.
So I read the entire series and loved it. So imagine if you start with the TV series and then
What a
the books are
hipster.
better.
Yeah.
Then, it's pretty cool. So, honestly, well received. And like I said, myself, I'm sold. I'm definitely checking these things out. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I hear it.
I will only hear it because I'm not going to read. That was a discussion we had on Twitter.
Still counts.
We did. But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
Can I tell you, or else would that be considered a spoiler?
Oh my gosh, is this going to happen the entire episode?
It's going to happen.
It's our Etiquette show, which is a Baconsale staple at this point, and the first one that I get to be involved with. But we are talking spoiler etiquette.
This is one that it's been brought up on social media a couple times.
Yeah, a few requests.
Yeah, especially after something big happens in a TV show or a movie.
Specifically with The Mandalorian this past season.
There was a whole discussion of they need to have a spoiler etiquette show. People were looking to us, looking to Baconsale for guidance and counsel regarding spoilers. And we're here today to give that to you.
Wow.
Why would they look to Baconsale?
I question their judgment, but we are the authority figure here.
I don't. I think we inform people pretty well. For example, on our Bacon Bits, when we review a movie or show, we spend half of the time talking about it, generally spoiler-free. Sometimes I can't really help myself.
And
These guys hold me back.
Yeah.
And then the second half, we say, stop now if you don't want to hear the rest. And so we do give that division.
We do.
And so I think that we are generally respectful towards people's inclination to maybe want to watch something or see something sometime.
Which brings up a point I want to bring up right here at the beginning of the show.
Okay.
Just so you are aware, listener, we are going to be spoiling 1989's The Little Mermaid.
How dare
on
we?
this episode. I want to get that out at the front.
Specifically, The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid. We're going to be spoiling Little Mermaid because...
So you're assuming everyone has seen The Little Mermaid.
We had a discussion. We had a discussion online where we said, what's a movie everyone has seen that we can talk about in this context of spoilers?
Which is funny because we were like throwing out some ideas, but like someone like Matt's hasn't seen Jurassic Park before last year.
Yeah. And also we didn't want to do one that actually had a big spoiler.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, no, Psycho, for example, pretty big twist. And I love being able to show it to my sister-in-law and have her not know. And I'm really looking forward to getting my kids with that one too.
Yeah.
But Little Mermaid, we decided, was the movie kind of everyone has seen. And even if you haven't seen it, there's not really a big twist in it.
The stakes are pretty low.
And so we can talk about it as used for an example. But just so you know, 1989's Little Mermaid is going to get spoiled.
Yes.
And of course, you can always turn to a Baconsale for Etiquette. This is, I believe, the 5th Etiquette show that
we have done a couple etiquette shows. We've done bathroom etiquette, driving etiquette,
Dating.
two dating etiquette shows.
Really 1.5. Let's be honest.
This is like the sixth one. So congratulations.
And generally, they're pretty like
Office
practical.
etiquette.
It's like, you're at the office or you're traveling in a car. We were thinking about doing a specific traveling etiquette show this year, but since that's really off the table,
we didn't travel.
maybe another year.
yeah, maybe another year. So this is very ethereal. This is we talk about online and we talk about in person on this show. And granted,
because-
in person doesn't really happen as much.
No, because it used to be like you'd be at work and you'd hear people talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Where nowadays it's like people are on Twitter. They're not at work anymore.
Yeah,
or even when you're at work, you're on
we're all
Twitter.
these weird outcasts now just on social media.
Yeah, that's where all
getting
of
mad
that's
at each
happening.
other all the time.
That's been me for years.
And if you're thinking this sounds a little familiar, it's because we actually did do a bacon bit about this back in February of 2018 called Too Many Spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
But that was primarily about the way that, and we're going to retread a little bit here.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
The way that Kent and I approach spoilers.
Yeah.
Specifically when it comes to movie trailers.
Because, well, not even movie trailers. Kent will go in and say, oh, the full script's online. I'm reading that.
Right.
Before a movie ever comes out.
Because I don't mind knowing. I will watch every trailer of something, and I want to know just ahead of time, like the cool things that I have in store for me.
Unless you care.
Unless I care.
Unless you really care about a movie, and then you're like, la, 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 la. I don't want to know anything about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
To which I normally do that with almost all movies. And maybe this goes
Meaning
back...
you avoid things. You will watch
Yes.
one trailer.
It's not like I'm like, I don't want to know anything about it, but like I'll watch one trailer and be like, I'm interested.
Because they're pitching you something.
Because every subsequent trailer will give a little more away. It's kind of what we talked about in the previous bacon bit. And we also talked about how there's so much information online that you can find if you look out there. Like you can find a full script or like, behind the scenes photos. And some people want to see that and others don't.
And since then, since the beginning of 2018, things have changed. It's been 3 short years, and spoilers are so much more prolific than they were 3 years ago.
Yes. Where you have major news organizations.
Headlines.
Headlines.
Tweeting about it.
Saying, hey, here's so-and-so in their costume. And it's like, well,
I couldn't even avoid that.
Yeah.
And so we will get into that. And I will say I've changed my ways since that.
Really?
Granted, there are some movies where I probably have watched at least 2 trailers, but I try to stay to a 1-trailer Joel Hilton rule. And my experience has generally been better.
Well, because I'm like I said, you'd get to a movie, and I said this on the bacon bit, you get to the end of the movie, you're like, oh, it's so predictable. And I'm like, because you watched all the trailers and read the script.
Right.
It was so predictable because you've seen the movie before you saw the movie. And then I challenged you, to just give an idea of how long ago that was, Zach, I challenged Kent to not watch any trailers, any more trailers for Infinity War, and no trailers for Aquaman.
It is funny because I'm like, I'm really looking forward to Aquaman. I'll just watch one trailer, and it didn't help the experience.
No. And so, today, listener, we're going to be giving you tips, tricks, and guidelines
And punishments.
on spoilers and punishments.
So
yes.
what is for both of you, what's your intended outcome from this? What do you want the listener to take away from it?
I want people to see us as spoiler prophets, if you will. And we're standing here giving people the wisdom that if they are having a conversation with someone
Spoiler prophets.
or are conversing with someone online, they can refer to our episode and we can give them the rules or the punishments for spoiling a movie or a show.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like this to be a reference for people to point to and say,
that's an easier way to say that we are spoiler prophets. Sure.
yes, spoiler prophets. But what I want out of this show is I want both spoiler and spoilee
Yes.
to work together to make this world a better place.
Is there working together or is there running away and yelling?
I don't want running away young. I don't want,
can you believe they did this? Stop talking to me.
run away?
Calm down, spoiling
Because
Green.
I do feel like
Spoilant Green.
this is a give and take between those who know things and want to talk about them and those who don't want to know things. And I think if they work together, we can live in harmony. There can be reaching across the aisles.
I
between
love
these two
how
parties.
it's harmony in regards to twists that happen in movies and TV shows.
Not even twists. Sometimes plot points.
Yeah.
Then it's always the weirdest thing to me. But we'll get into that.
Yes, we will.
So Zach, you want to give the listener kind of a general idea of where we're going with the show?
So we obviously want to, we've said it so many times, like I wonder what the count will be of how many times the word spoiler is said, but we want to talk about what
Don't say that. Someone is going to count that.
Someone will.
First listener is probably going to count that.
That's true. We want to talk about what a spoiler is and maybe varying degrees of that. And then Kent, you mentioned we want to talk what it means in person versus online, what's avoidable. And then we'll talk different media and see what's going on there. But ultimately, we want to make sure we give the guidelines. We want to walk away from the guidelines. And then if you mess up those guidelines, we're going to tell you, what the penalties are for breaking the rules.
So let me just start off with the Merriam-Webster definition of spoiler. It is not
I suddenly feel like I'm sitting on a pew.
Yeah,
This is literally the worst way to start. Go on.
it is not a tacky accessory on a 98 Eclipse, actually.
Or a 96 Toyota Corolla.
Yeah, because you do
I have a spoiler. Keeps my rear wheels down.
I technically have one too. Yes.
Wow.
R.I.P. Paul Walker.
So
I
it
don't
is
know.
a description of an important plot development in a television show, movie, or book, which, if previously known, may reduce surprise or suspense for a first-time viewer or reader.
Which, okay, may reduce surprise or suspense. I want to focus on that for a second.
Yeah.
If you watch a movie trailer, you're going to be reducing the amount of surprise and suspense. Just one movie
But
trailer.
it can whet your appetite to what it may be, though.
And that's what you have to decide.
Yeah.
Because even a movie trailer, we just watched a trailer for Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Right.
It
And we were
basically-
turned off.
It basically showed the entire movie.
Right.
It was way too long of a trailer for what it needed to be, because it's like, oh yeah, we get the story. Now you're just showing the plot.
Right.
But it's a tricky thing for trailer people to do too, because they have to. And we already discussed this on the Bacon Bit a little bit. They have to whet your appetite and give you enough story to get you interested, but not give away too much. Which is one of the reasons why I don't watch too many trailers, because I feel like each subsequent trailer you learn a little more.
They do.
Can I give you a good example, in my opinion?
Please.
Sure. Baby Driver. I think this is a movie that predominantly the trailer is built on the first 2 or 3 scenes. And so I think it works pretty well.
Yeah.
Because you go, oh, I've seen a lot. I'm interested. And then what you see, you hit right away. And then the rest of the movie is stuff that's all new to you.
Well, and I brought this up on the Bacon Bit as well. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It didn't really tell you anything about the story, but it captured this
Gave you the
amazing
vibe.
feel of the movie and
Yeah.
got you kind of like, whoa, this is intriguing. I
True.
like this immigrant song.
I've never said that before.
This immigrant song by Led Zeppelin.
It's so cliche now.
Yeah.
You mean
with Karen O singing it.
you mean the Wonder Woman
Sure
theme?
is there? No.
Thor Ragnarok.
It's kind of like that.
It's
Yeah.
literally it's a ripoff. I'm just saying.
Spoiler alert for Wonder Woman's
Wow.
theme song.
Slam on Hans Zimmer right now.
He's a hack.
Anyway,
Save it for that show.
so let's jump into it then. Like, Ken, you kind of give the word Merriam-Webster definition.
Yes.
So what is a spoiler then to you?
So I feel
In
like
English.
the word
Well, do you want to
spoiler-
break it down, like variations of?
Well, I just want to talk about it briefly, kind of overall, because I feel like the word spoiler has kind of been blown out of proportion. That people consider anything relating to the movie at all to be a spoiler. You could say, hey, my friend worked as a gaffer on that movie, and they'd be like, spoiler alert!
The movie's coming out?
They have a gaffer on the crew?
So I think a lot of the times the innocuous, like you might get a casting rumor
Yeah.
or you might get a movie poster or something like that. And it's like, well, but that's like real life stuff. Is that really
But I
a
just feel
spoiler?
like Kent said, is the Merriam-Webster definition, if it's not something that's going to reduce your surprise or suspense for the movie, it's not really a spoiler.
No. Like if it takes place in a world, we're at a
Sorry,
time
can
now.
you say that again? But
In a world.
Thank you.
We live in a society. There you go.
We do.
Where if you watch a movie and you're a fan of it, like say Lord of the Rings, and you're like, oh, by the way,
Are we using Little Mermaid as our definition?
Actually, let's go. Yeah, let's Little Mermaid, and you say, "Hey, the mer people," and you're like, "There are mer people in this movie."
Yes.
and it's like, well, yeah, you have to expect that they will service fans in any way they can, and I'm talking about the studios.
Yeah.
and so expect that if you're watching a movie about this, there's going to be things that
There's gonna be
it won't ruin the movie for you to know about. That people should be respectful, and I think generally people are.
No, that's the thing is, I feel like we just said there's not a spoiler. There's that category of like, it's not a spoiler. There's no offense here, and
Right.
that's the thing. Like, there are
It won't
fish.
ruin the
there are mer people
experience.
in the Little Mermaid. It's
Yes.
like, oh, okay, it's not going to affect the story in any way. It's kind of a given. Like, there was a time when Star Wars was coming out.
there are
and-
stars in Star Wars?
Yeah, and someone had mentioned like stormtroopers or something,
Sure.
and someone else was like, "How now? I know there are stormtroopers in the movie," and they were mad about it. And I was like, "Well, that's a given. Like
Sure.
that's a normal thing, and it doesn't affect the overall story." So put that out of your mind. Don't even call that a spoiler. That is not a spoiler when you talk about generalities that people probably already know. They're-
Especially out of context.
yeah,
Yes.
like there are mer people, or when they're underwater, and it's like, well, it's Little Mermaid, so there's mer people and they're underwater.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's not a spoiler.
So that's not a spoiler. What would you say is a light spoiler? You would put this in spoiler territory, but it's just a light one.
So
not a big deal.
Little spoilers. This is also, I don't think, an offense. But this is like if you said, for example, like A seagull helps Ariel learn what human stuff is. He calls a fork a dinglehopper.
Okay.
That is not the main story. That is not the main thrust of the story. That's a side character and a side joke.
But you may have blown the punchline for a joke.
You may have, but at the same, and that's the thing. You can spoil jokes. So when they do that in trailer all the time, where you see a joke and then you watch it in the movie, you're like, yeah, I saw that before. But I feel like this is a side story or a character with no major tie into the main narrative.
A lot of this I'm going to use when we talk about in person. I'm going to use Joel and I as an example, talking over a water cooler, which is what we did, right? When we
literally would go to get water.
Right. And so we talk about pop culture things and people would walk in. And that is how I view a lot of what I will be basing my argument off of.
Sure.
And so in this case,
so you're in the break room.
I would be like, hey,
yeah.
Joel, did you see the Little Mermaid 1989 trailer? And we talk about it and someone walks in and then we say, hey, I really like that song, Part of Your World. And someone comes in and they're like, hey, don't talk about the trailer. I don't want to watch it. To me, that's a light spoiler. That's not going to ruin anything because the movie is promoting that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, see,
this is where you go. Some trailers don't show enough restraint.
well, that's the thing is, I feel like some things in the trailers are probably little spoilers.
Sure.
I think there are medium spoilers in trailers. And this is more medium spoilers would be like, Ursula changes Ariel into a human. That is the
now you're getting into plot points.
That is like the inciting incident of the story that gets the plot going. That is a plot point, a major plot point.
I would also say, well, I've read the Hans Christian Andersen story, and in that story, this happens to the Little Mermaid,
right?
And so, or like if a comic book movie's coming out, I would say, well, actually, I've read Infinity War, and this happens, which I'm pretty sure I did to people.
You totally did
before the movie came out. And
that was actually, I think, more prevalent in Civil War.
Yeah,
because that was a very popular comic series.
Whether it's the book or graphic novel or whatever it's based on or adapted from, if you give that spoiler to kind of be all high and mighty, I think that's a medium spoiler because it may not happen in the movie, but it may.
Yeah.
So it has in some way altered your perception of what you're going to see.
Yes, even if that's not what
in a
you
negative
see.
way.
Yes,
I feel like most movie trailers are in the medium spoiler territory.
Okay, yeah.
Which I feel like there is a potential for offense here if you have one of the plug your ears, la la la. I don't want to know anything about this movie. And I bring this up only because there are people who really do want to know nothing about the movie. And I think it's because they've had an experience where they've been completely surprised and enjoyed it. Unbreakable, for example. I knew nothing about the movie when I watched it. I'd just come back from Portugal, and I had no idea what to expect or what it was about.
Other than the fact that the director sometimes uses twists.
I didn't even know that because Sixth Sense also came out while I was gone.
Okay.
So to me, this was like, okay, I'll sit down and watch this, and I don't really know anything about it. And to watch it unfold was such a fun experience. But I don't expect that with every movie.
Sure.
Especially if I watch a trailer. And so I feel like you may have to kind of be like, are you cool if I say this or something like that? And I think you may need to clear it on this level on medium spoilers.
Okay.
But for the most part, people shouldn't be offended by medium spoilers.
I don't think so.
Because they're in the trailer, they're in the IMDb summary, the plot summary. This is like the general story, and that's what I feel.
Okay, I agree.
Then you get to big spoilers.
Yes.
Which is the not cool category. Don't do this.
For me, this is who dies and how, the ending, a twist. If you're beginning a comment with, I can't believe that.
Yes, that's a pretty good indicator you're going to give a big spoiler.
Yeah. So for example, in Little Mermaid.
So spoiler alert for Little Mermaid. I have it here. I could not believe that Prince Eric stabbed Ursula in the gut with the ship, saving King Triton, and then Ariel chooses to stay on land and marry Eric. That is a big spoiler.
Yes.
That is literally the ending of the story, both how the villain is defeated and what the protagonist chooses to do in the end.
Yeah. Did you know that the hero actually loses? She does. Because
Does she lose?
Ariel, she doesn't accomplish what she needs to do.
Hold on.
She does. She does not accomplish it. Well, how does she get her legs?
She saves her dad.
She gets her legs from her dad. She
saves Eric.
She doesn't win the bet.
If she wouldn't have pulled Ursula's hair...
Wait, are you saying he didn't kiss the girl?
No. That's the spoiler, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't accomplish that task.
Well, now we're getting into like theory.
Yeah, like Zach's theories and translations of Disney.
And so I feel like this is the ending of the movie is big spoiler territory or a big twist you didn't see coming. I'm not going to say the specific example, but there was a movie that was heavily marketed, this action movie that was heavily marketed as like starring this specific person. And then in the first 5 minutes, they're killed off.
Oh,
and
it's the other guys with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. I know.
Or it's any movie with Sean Bean.
Well, Sean Bean is known for dying in movies too. But that's what I was going to say is like that's at the beginning of the movie, but it's still a major twist because you don't know it's coming.
Right.
And so I feel like if you have to say that's a very good point of saying it. I can't believe this happened, or wow, that really surprised me. That's big spoiler territory, and you need to be cautious. That isn't to say that you can't say it, but you definitely have to put a disclaimer or ask, have you guys seen this movie, or do you care if I spoil this movie at that point?
So I actually
that is spoiler etiquette.
I came up with an acronym. It's spoiler law, and law would be the acronym.
Okay.
So L.A.W, it's look. So you got to look around you, survey the scene, and make sure you're talking to the right people, because Joel and I know very well that sometimes if you say the wrong thing in front of the wrong person, spoilers will just be thrown out.
Oh, yeah.
So look, then there's ask. Say, have you seen this movie?
Are you caught up?
Do you mind if I talk about it?
I will never watch it, and I don't care.
Yeah, it's like, okay, great. And then warn. So L.A.W, warn, say spoiler alert for the movie I just asked you about.
I like that.
So look, ask, and warn.
Can I go
and then
off?
Spoil if you want to go off.
Can I go off of what you just said?
Sure.
We need to talk about spoiler alert. Can we talk about that?
Meaning people just go, spoiler alert.
Let it be known.
Eric steps Ursula.
If you say spoiler alert, you must allow enough time for the person to react to said spoiler
How long?
alert.
In person, yes. I would say
In a tweet,
you
you
give it
just
a 5,
capital
6,
letters
7,
spoiler.
8. Like spoiler alert, 6, 7, 8. Okay.
He literally rams a ship into her. It's so cool.
So
I love this as our example.
yeah. But here's I know someone out there has not seen Little Mermaid. We're going to hear about it in the comments. But what I was going to say is that's in person.
Yeah.
So online, when you're typing it out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you're actually typing out, what do you do then? I'll tell you what I do. I put a whole bunch of asterisks where it's just like I say
Like
spoiler
enter,
alert.
asterisk, enter. Okay.
Well, even like I'll put spoiler alert, put asterisks around it. Then I'll do space, and maybe another asterisk or something like that. Because I'm stupid with this.
Yeah.
I am stupid with not wanting to spoil movies. You guys know this, that even like we talked about a Kurosawa film from 1962, and I was like, I don't want to spoil this for anyone.
Okay. But Joel, you're not a buffoon. You're never going to be like, I can't believe this happened on the last episode of this major show that's brand new. You'll never do that.
I hope
with
to
the
never do that.
hashtag.
Right.
And the gif of someone dying.
Oh, especially
You won't-
not right after it happened.
You won't do that, but people do.
And that's the problem.
That is the problem.
Is people are getting way too casual with how they're throwing these things out.
I think the onus is definitely with the spoilee, and we can talk about this, but like we're talking about online, you don't like
spoilee being the person who doesn't want to be spoiled.
Yes, you mute words. If you're really excited about the newest Star Wars or Marvel project, you mute words. It will save your life, but it's not. It doesn't mean you won't be spoiled.
Yeah.
It means that because generally you are following a certain set of people, a certain fandom, and they're going to talk about the thing you like.
Which you can easily in Twitter, like even just hit the gear button settings and then just say mute and then just say this word.
Yes.
Or this hashtag. But the problem is, Kent, you don't always know when a spoiler is coming.
No.
For example, I'm not going to give a spoiler here. I want to clarify that. The end of Mandalorian season 2, no one saw that coming. And there were
No one called it.
Well, there were hashtags and there was phrases used.
Yeah.
All these different things that no one saw coming, and I could not have hid that if I wanted to without knowing what it was first.
That's true.
And that's the thing is I think that's in the hands of the spoiler at that point. Because
it's hard because there's so much excitement for people that just saw something exciting, right?
Right.
And so they feel the need to share that excitement.
Yes.
And I said buffoon before, it's harsh language because people are like, oh my gosh, that happened. And I see this a lot on Facebook where they're like, can you believe that this happened? Like literally.
As
and
it's airing.
I do think you do need to, if someone spoils something, and we can talk about this in punishments, you can unfollow people or you can mute people.
Yeah.
Well, and I think this is probably a sign of the times, but there's so few people that actually have the water cooler anymore.
Yeah.
So they have turned to social media, and so it's running more rampant.
Well, and I feel
But
like
I also think it's like a, hey, look at me, I'm caught up with the zeitgeist.
yeah, look how cool I am because I am in the know. And that bugs me, that mentality of like, I saw it first. Let me tell you guys, because I saw it first. That's a terrible mentality to have. But what I will say is general enthusiasm is encouraged. If you say, wow, I love The Little Mermaid. The score was fantastic, and I really enjoyed how it ended.
Yeah.
That's all fine. That's perfectly fine. And then later on, we'll get to that later, guidelines and timelines. But later on, yeah, you can get into heavier discussions about it. But I feel like it drives me nuts also when people say, well, just stay off the internet. And there have been times I've done that, where it's like something big is coming out, and I'm like, I will stay completely off the internet until I've watched it, and then I will go back on. But the problem is we live in such a social media driven world, and with the podcast, I'm there all the time. I don't feel like it's fair to say, just stay off the internet until we watch anything with ever a spoiler ever, because then I'll never be on the internet again.
I was able to do that once that I can recall. It was for Force Awakens, Star Wars Force Awakens, and it came out on what, like a Thursday night?
It wasn't for the Little Mermaid?
It was for the Little Mermaid.
How old were you in Little Mermaid?
I wasn't born. So like Force Awakens comes out on a Thursday.
Poor unfortunate
I
soul.
knew I wasn't seeing it until a Saturday. So yeah, I could stay off of the internet for essentially a day and a half. But beyond that, it's not a reasonable request.
And I feel like for tentpole events, like, maybe we'll say Endgame type movies, where it's like big, huge, gonna make a big splash online and everyone knows it.
Oh, so the Lion King. Got
Yes.
it.
Yeah. We're
in
not
the early
spoiling
90s.
We're not spoiling the Lion King on the show, Zach. But I feel like
Lion King's Hamlet.
It is Hamlet.
It is Hamlet.
And Bambi too.
It's not Bambi. But I feel like it is not reasonable to say stay off the internet if you never want to get spoiled. I think that, once again, the spoiler needs to take some cautions, and we'll talk about it later with guidelines, and the spoilee needs to take some cautions.
Yeah, but you're speaking generalities, right? Like, I do think you can't be mad as the spoilee if it's like, and we need to talk about timelines. If you get on Twitter, which we're going to talk about mostly here, unless you're seeing memes on Instagram or whatnot, but you can't be mad if 2 weeks after Endgame comes out and like, I'm the biggest fan of Marvel, like, and you haven't seen the movie?
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, if you are enough of a fan to be angry at a spoiler, then, but you're a couple weeks away.
Yeah. So there doesn't need to be the timeline discussed.
We'll get that in here in a sec. I still want to talk about in-person versus online.
Okay,
Sure.
okay.
Another thing that drives me nuts online is when people try and be sneaky with their big spoilers. Like, I have it here. Someone, if they were to tweet it out, I'm not going to say how the Little Mermaid ends, but it was quite the stab in the gut. And it's like one of those things where they'll put it in all caps. And they're like, ha ha, wink, wink. I know something you don't know.
Sure.
That's annoying. Don't do that.
I have laughed at a couple of contextless spoilers before.
And people do that. Well, like,
They're kind of funny.
Posted without context, and it'll be like an image of like a boat with a broken bow in the front.
Yeah.
And they'll be like,
Yeah, it's like a GIF. And so you go, okay, I get what you're doing. If you've seen the thing, you're like, I get what you're doing, but why?
but then if I hadn't seen Little Mermaid, as soon as I see Eric driving that ship, I'm like, okay, I know it's going to happen.
Right.
It has been spoiled for me.
So therefore, it's not necessarily spoiling, but something happened that altered your perception of the movie. And I think that's a problem.
yeah.
So going back to in-person, and once again, this is more rare these days.
Spoiler law. I like that.
Yeah.
Look around, ask, warn.
There were many times Joel and I would be having lunch, and the lunchroom maybe has around 20 people in it, and people would be like, hey, you guys talk about media all the time. What did you think about the big new movie that came out last week that you reviewed? And Joel and I cannot talk about it very freely. It's vague
because
generalities.
we'd be saving
at
it for the
best.
show.
Oh, that's true.
All the time it'd be
Actually,
like,
yeah. Even our opinion we would save.
Yeah.
But we could not just
There
like.
were literally times when Kent and I would be like, come over here, I'll tell you my opinion. And
Yeah.
then go over to Joe and he'll tell you your opinion.
But we couldn't talk to our small table and say, okay, well, this and this happens because we've both seen the movie. We think it's fair game. Because someone else in the lunchroom may be a big fan of whatever movie it is.
And it's a small enough lunchroom
even
that
if
it
it's
could
like a
hear it.
Kevin James movie, right?
Yeah.
Like
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Someone may care about Paul Blart Mall Cop 3.
Is that coming out?
Probably.
Yes. And I want to
Even
say
cubicles, because you think you're being quiet.
Oh, yeah. Cubicles are not soundproof.
But just
people.
know. Yeah.
But I wanted to bring that up too, because in person, it is much easier to be cautious because you can see people listening. But I want to put this out there, listener, and give this to all the public out there who may listen as well. I think you need to treat posting online like speaking in public. Like you are walking to the front of an office
general.
and just talking very loudly. Because people don't understand, you post something online, it's in public.
You're speaking to the normies, though. You're
Yeah.
not speaking to the loudmouths.
Yeah.
Who they speak just as loud on social media as they do in public.
Yeah.
Right? And they're saying, oh my gosh, like they'll just put in caps the
Yeah.
name of someone that appeared in a recent episode of something.
Yeah.
With the hashtag of the show.
And that's like, oh, thank you. Like
Right.
you would not walk into a crowded break room and suddenly just yell, Ursula almost marries Eric, but then Scuttle breaks the necklace, causing Ariel to get her voice back.
Oh,
wow.
thanks. Flipping a table right now.
I just think if you're going, like I said,
Little Mermaid.
general enthusiasm is accepted. Please say, you could walk into a public room of mixed company and just say, I loved The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so good. You guys need to see it.
And what about talking about what you liked about it? Like if I say, oh my gosh, I really loved the music of Little Mermaid.
Generalities.
That's not a spoiler.
General feelings and general reactions, perfectly fine. Because if you say I love the music, no one's going to be like, oh, now I know it's a
now I
musical.
know there's music.
But then if someone in the break room stands up, and once again, I'm talking in person, but this is online. If someone stands up and says, hey, I'd like to talk to you more about this, you go to a private room, DMs. If you want to have a discussion, have DMs. Because I have people who be like, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about this.
Slide into my DMs about it.
Well, and then they have this public reply back and forth about the whole thing. And I'm like, I follow both of you, so I'm seeing this entire conversation.
Yeah. Well, people have done that on Twitter as well, where the root tweet will be, hey, this is a spoiler thread, and then they do a thread. But it's like, sometimes on my Twitter feed, I get like
it's random, right?
The third thing in a thread of 7.
The algorithm really wants to ruin your life anyways.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
did you just say Twitter wants to ruin my life?
Let's ruin Zach's day.
Hashtag Twitter ruins the world.
So I do want to give some advice, though. If you are an addict of social media, which we just all need to get off, I think, and you don't want to be spoiled
Someone's
on
watching
anything.
The Social Dilemma.
There we go. But
Kent always has a social dilemma.
So, like, for example, if there's a big show, for example, because we've had a few major shows happen lately where they've been very zeitgeisty.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's now a term.
Well, because that's all we have. We don't have social interaction.
Right. And everything is streaming.
Well, and I'm going to blame Disney. I'm assuming you're talking about maybe 2 Disney shows.
2 Disney shows specifically.
They're
Little Mermaid,
filthy
what
with
else?
them.
Lion King?
Yeah.
Actually, Home on the Range.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Brother Bear.
Brother specifically.
Rescue is down under.
Yeah, I love that one.
So what you do is, what you don't do is stay off Twitter trending. Never go to the search, that little search bar on the bottom.
And even
Because-
then, you have to go to proper trending. Because there's like For You, and then there's trending and entertainment.
You go to none of it.
No, you avoid it all.
You avoid it all because the first thing you will see is the newest media thing or political thing, but it's all annoying. But it will spoil immediately a reference to something else, like a cameo, for example.
Yeah.
And it will ruin everything for you. So that's Twitter.
Yeah.
Also, Instagram search. Stay off of that because you're immediately, and you saw this with Game of Thrones, you're going to see memes immediately, like within minutes.
Yeah, people are, and that's the thing.
Memes are funny.
They are. I think the spoilers need to cool their jets a little bit on
Because
memes.
they want to be the first.
They want to be the first to get the joke out
And
there.
memes are
think
only
that's-
funny for such a short time.
That's the other thing is the meme culture has really invaded into the spoiler.
And this
culture.
is hard for me, but this is an advice I'm going to give other people. Speaking of memes, my advice on memes is just accept that you don't get it. Don't do any research. Don't keep looking at the picture trying to figure it out. If you see a meme for a show you want to watch, put it away until you've seen it.
But a meme might be a cameo.
It might
ruin everything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying spoiler needs to not put it out there, but spoilery needs to be like, what's that? Oh, I like that show. What's this Little Mermaid thing with Scuttle? Oh no. I know that he's trying to, get Eric to kiss the girl in the swamp.
Ursula's actually hot.
What?
She's kind of hot.
I think human Ursula's pretty good looking.
Oh, human Ursula. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
I thought you just said Ursula.
Either or.
No.
Hey, whatever floats your boat.
What?
Eric killed her with a boat.
But and then on Facebook, because Facebook is kind of like the old fuddy-duddy of the social media world. This is where you have people that really love a
like
big
Facebook.
property. Like, me too. But it's like people will spoil something, even if it's in a trailer or whatnot. So you just kind of unfollow those people. You don't have to unfriend them, but unfollow people that have spoiled something for you before, because they probably will again.
What about TikTok?
What? TikTok's a thing?
There's no spoilers there, just dumb lip sync dances.
Yeah, don't lip sync if it's a spoiler.
Yeah. I'm going to spoil this is a light spoiler for Lion King. I'm going to treat this like the shadowy places. You could see your Pride Land of social media.
Your feed.
But there are shadowy places like I have here trending keywords or searches. If you go to the search thing like Instagram and stuff like that, memes, you must never go there. You must never go there if you don't want to spoil it.
Everywhere.
It's a lot like Provo.
If you, I want to clarify. Yeah, I want to clarify. If you don't care about spoilers, go for it. If you don't care about the spoilers for a specific thing, by all means. But I'm saying you need to be cautious out there. But also, I want to say, just because you don't care if a movie or TV show is spoiled, doesn't mean others won't. Like if you do not care about the Little Mermaid, if you were looking forward, like
I'm more of a Bluth guy, honestly.
Don Bluth guy,
Don Bluth guy, and so I'm really excited for Rockadoodle.
All dogs go to heaven.
Yeah, so I will slam Little Mermaid and maybe spoil it on purpose. To ruin it for these people who
and that's a jerk move.
It's a
don't
total jerk
do
move.
that. Just because you don't care about a movie or TV show, just don't because you found out something. You're like, oh, I just found out. By the way, that Ursula is a brunette when she turns into a human, and so I'm going to post this picture and be like, "This is Ursula," because I don't care about this spoiler stuff. Someone out there is going to be mad about that.
I've been guilty of this before. I'm sure I have.
Of spoiling
Like
in person or online?
I'm probably wanting to sound like the smart one, basically going back to the medium spoiler, like back in the comic book, this happened, or this character actually died.
That doesn't feel like
it does sound like me.
Anyway, so that's kind of the guidelines for online versus in person. I feel like we cannot stay offline all the time.
Okay.
You're going to have to be online. You're going to have to be cautious.
So I think what we just set there is if you're in person, and once again, use the law.
Spoiler law.
But spoiler alert, say spoiler alert very clearly, and maybe say what movie it's for.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, give people, because I see this a lot on YouTube videos where if I'm watching a review, they say, here's what I thought about the movie, kind of like we do. And spoiler alert, and maybe leave if you don't want to hear the rest. And then I'm like, cool, X.
Yeah,
X out of the screen.
You can give, just because you space spoiler, that's not the catch-all there. Give a space, give an extra warning, be like, you can turn it off if you want. Like we say that on the Bacon Bits where we say, okay, we sing a song
an intermediary
usually.
song. Yeah.
We're like, we're going to spoil things now, give people plenty of time to turn it off or pause it. Because some people, they've just gotten new Bluetooth headphones and they have no idea how to pause them.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience. And so it's like, I don't know what to do.
Let's talk about the guidelines though. So I want to start with just big tentpole movies,
Like blockbusters, movies.
Superhero movies, Fast 9, big movies.
My general guideline, once again, general feelings and spoiler-free reviews, the moment you see it. Which, the interesting point I want to bring up here, Kent, as a critic, you guys have a moratorium on when you can actually say something.
An embargo.
There is an embargo of like, you cannot talk about this online until a certain date.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Sometimes it's because they don't want us to create bad promotion for it, because we may hate it, and so they don't want us to talk about it. Other times we may accidentally slip up and give a spoiler in a review, which many critics do.
Yeah, and so I think they put this moratorium on it, and I think it's like, these people that get advanced screenings, they just want to talk about it, because they're like, I saw it first.
Yeah.
And I'm like, take the critic approach of being like, let's wait till it comes out and everyone can enjoy it. Once again, if you see it ahead of time, be general with your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's generally why when I review a new movie that many people may not have seen, I will give a paragraph that's slightly longer than the IMDb summary that maybe says more about the main character and maybe what their motive is, because obviously IMDb is very basic.
Can I confess something to you? I generally avoid your reviews until I've seen the movie.
Do I give away a lot? I actually want to know this.
I feel and this is just me.
Because I think I stay away from the story except for that one paragraph.
I feel like sometimes, at least in the past, I felt like you've given away a little too much.
Okay.
And so I wait till after I've seen the movie to read your reviews.
I get that.
But at the same time, that's me. And once again, my one trailer theory where I'm like, I don't want to know more than I already know.
Yeah.
And so, and it's not like you're giving, you're not a jerk spoiler.
I try not to be, and that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Not that you're not a jerk.
Yeah, but not a jerk spoiler.
Yeah. Generally, you ask me to help write your parody song, and then you take all the credit.
Precisely.
But with you, I was going to say, I think that's perfectly fine to read a spoiler-free review as well, if that's your thing, if you're okay with that. If you're not, stay away from it.
Right.
Yeah.
But my feeling is that if a big tentpole movie comes out, you must wait a week before you start giving unprotected big spoilers.
A week,
because the big fans.
When you say unprotected, do you mean the law? Like you're not even asking if anyone's seen it. You're talking about it in the workplace or
Yes,
in public.
because I feel like
I dispute the week.
How long would you say?
I think that's too short.
It might
You
be.
gotta at least have a
This is a discussion.
I think you gotta have a couple of weekends to go by, because like I rarely go to movies opening weekend because I don't like the fuss. So like that third weekend it comes out, so about 2 weeks after it releases, then it's like, okay, you've had your
make a
opportunity.
good point.
I think to freely talk about it, yes, 2 weeks. But I think you can't not talk about the big movie that you saw over the past weekend, especially if someone else
general
saw
enthusiasm.
it.
Sure.
But I do think it's very protected speech at that point.
So should we say like medium spoilers after 1 week, or after 1 week, and then maybe big spoilers after 2 weeks?
I would say I like the 2 week rule.
Once again,
I think big spoilers.
If you
never.
want to spoil it,
I think big spoilers.
Well,
never.
that's the thing is, Zach.
Yeah.
I am of the big spoilers never camp.
Yeah.
But this is talking to those people who really just want to say, that the crab does not die
Yeah.
in Little Mermaid.
I can't believe the crab didn't die.
Yeah.
The chef totally would have got him.
Yeah. It was totally unrealistic. No, but I mean, I guess the big spoiler there would be Ursula dying by getting a ship rammed through her. Those people that just are foaming at the mouth to just say that they've seen it.
What
or
a
make a
hardcore
meme.
ending. That's me. I really want to talk about that.
Well, in that
ending of
case, I would
movie.
almost say never. It's either 3 months when the movie's out on DVD, so more people have a chance to go see it because they may not go to the theater. But it's almost never. I mean, I think it's inappropriate to say things out loud that foolishly.
Well, but people will do it, and I'm not talking to me because, like I said, I have a hard time spoiling Psycho, which came out in 1960.
Well, it's a life changer, obviously.
I don't think you can say never because we there are spoilers that are just in the public consciousness.
Okay,
and when I say major spoilers, I'm talking about someone creating a meme of the boat going through Ursula and saying, "This is what lunch did to me."
And we do often joke, we're like, spoiler alert for a movie from 1954.
Yeah,
right. And then we kind of just it's on people who haven't seen this.
Which
yet.
we'll get to older movies here in a sec.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
But are we saying 2 weeks before those who want to say something?
2 weeks, and if you go before, there are penalties.
We'll get to the penalties later too.
On a technicality, I'll be fine with 2 weeks. But I'm thinking 3 weekends. So you generally have your opening weekend, second weekend, by the end of third weekend, coming back to work. So you're like 2 weeks in like a day.
Fair.
Okay, deal.
I agree with that.
So 3 release weekends.
That's very specific.
The Baconsale official guideline for big movies
Over 2 weeks.
Yeah, is the third weekend.
The Monday you return back to work.
Monday after weekend 3.
Yes. It gets complicated, but yeah.
So good.
Look at that. Look at that.
Also, I say with big movies, and this is more medium spoiler territory, I think if you see a movie and you have a theory about how the sequel will go, or a theory about the movie itself.
If you're talking where it's going to go, you're inherently talking about how it ended.
Precisely.
Exactly. Like if you say, I can't wait to see Prince Eric and Ariel and their kids, then everyone knows, oh, they're going to survive at the end of this movie.
So that is when you should use the polite law.
Yes.
Yes.
Spoiler law.
Ask someone first.
And,
do you want to hear it?
Just another reminder, be careful of the trailers. The big movies are going to be probably one of the biggest spoilers. You know, if there's examples that have been used to death, but you know, Batman v Superman, like that movie had a big spoiler in it, but then it also did what for me, and I haven't had a chance to talk about this because I wasn't on the previous Bacon bit, but I get visually spoiled by movies.
I do too.
So it's like, maybe that's not a spoiler. But there's a trailer for Batman v Superman that totally spoils one of the best scenes in the entire movie, and it's not a plot point. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
And I saw that after the fact, and I went, thank goodness I didn't see this trailer because that was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Okay.
But it could have been in the trailer, and then you see it.
And it was.
And we've
like,
talked about that the same way with comedies and jokes in the trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the time you get to the
ruins
movie and you've
big
seen it like
jokes.
multiple times, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So with big tentpole movies, you got to be really cautious of trailers.
Yeah.
Because they want to sell that movie. They know it's going to make a bunch of money, and they're going to do whatever they can to get you to watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, how about movies with a big twist?
Now,
Think Shyamalan.
that's what I was going to say. Is this is not like the big tentpole everyone's excited for. This is the slow burn. Someone saw it and thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And then it starts to kind of build and build and build.
Is this ever allowed? Ever?
I say no.
Well,
This is like the big twists. We may talk about them, but
it's
you have
impossible.
to warn about them forever.
because there are literally jokes out there that you won't get. Oh, there's jokes out there about, for example, The Sixth Sense. And the
your
twist in it.
entire opening are almost based completely on movies with big twists.
Right, but at the same time, I didn't say what they were from,
No,
and
you
I didn't say who it was.
You didn't spoil them, but they're important.
But also, if you look at like the best movie quotes of all time or the best movie scenes, if you follow pop culture semi-regularly, you're going to know Citizen Kane has a twist. Something happens in Casablanca. Like, there are these classic movies that will be spoiled for you, regardless of whether.
But we'll get
the
to older
person-
movies with a twist here in a bit. This is like it just got released,
Okay.
and it's cool. And Zach, I'm going to go with kind of what we should say, like your guideline. You said 3 weekends, basically.
Yeah, sure.
I would say big movies with a twist. You cannot do unprotected spoilers until 6 weekends. I would double that because it has to catch on first. People have to slowly start seeing this.
By that point, most movies are trailing off. They're not. People who have wanted to see them have had a chance.
Honestly, this is near the end of the theater run. Is it a spoiler to say a movie has a twist?
Yes.
Yes.
But at the same
it's
time,
more polite than saying what the twist is.
it's like saying, hey,
Well-
who do you think's going to die?
yeah.
It's it's medium spoilery.
What about just saying it's a whodunit? Is that
No, that's a genre.
Okay, I'll pull it back,
What about end of theater run?
which is generally a month. Honestly, movies are in theaters for a month and then they're on TV.
This is a movie
for
that's
free.
not necessarily big.
Two
but
months
has a
after
big
Christmas.
twist.
I can get behind that.
So should we say end of theater run?
Yeah. So
okay.
let's say 6 weeks.
6 weeks,
Just like you said.
Yeah, 6 weekends.
Took a long road to get there, but yeah, 6 weeks.
Okay. Older movies with a twist. We kind of talked about that before. And this is something I want to put out there is maybe you guys won't agree with me, but I say you put a disclaimer before proceeding, no matter how old it is.
Yeah. I would
always ask.
Same thing. You ask if someone has seen the movie, and then you do a follow-up question. Do you know about the story? Do you care if I ruin it for you?
But the problem is, once again, there are people out there who, I mean, you make a joke about Citizen Kane, and it's a thing where it's become so ingrained in society. Everyone knows the twist.
Yeah. Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes, another a very famous example. But at the same time, there's someone out there who hasn't. But I think if you want to make a joke about it, you can, because those that will get it will get it. Those that won't, that won't.
I do think it's kind of the fault of the person who may be spoiled on it, though, because quit watching The Office for the third time. Go watch a classic movie once in a while.
But then you got the youngins who maybe haven't seen it because they just haven't been old. Like my kids, for example.
Sure.
I hope they don't get spoiled in some of the movies I'm going to show them. And so I'm waiting, but I don't want to wait too long because I don't want them to get spoiled. But I want them to be old enough to be mature enough to understand it and appreciate it.
I get that.
Unlike Kent's kids, who definitely already know Fight Club, and
they've seen Seven so many times.
Usual Suspects.
Yeah. So I think no matter how old the movie is, you should put a disclaimer on it. But I feel like it's okay because you should have seen it by now. I don't know. I have this weird conflict here.
I think you should avoid a proper twist intern in the story. You should avoid it at all costs.
Because it does lessen the experience.
Even these movies, there are so many movies that I haven't seen, that I haven't been spoiled on, that even though I may have heard it in the public consciousness or something, but I still haven't experienced that, and I can for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's not like
But there are movies that, sorry to cut you off.
Well, it's not like these YouTubers who lie that they haven't ever heard Bohemian Rhapsody before.
Right.
It's like, there's legitimately stuff like, oh, I've never seen that. Oh, I didn't expect it. That's pretty cool.
But there are movies that are still good, even if you kind of know the twist. It's still great. And I want to get into them, but I also don't. Like Scream. It's a scary movie. People die. Right?
Right.
But even if you know the ending of the movie, it's still enjoyable. Yeah. I think I knew what would happen in that movie, and I went and saw it. I was like, yeah, it's a great experience.
Which is a question I was going to bring up, because like Sixth Sense, for example, it gets to the end. If you watch that again, it's a completely different experience because you're now looking for things that lead up to the end. Same with
you brought up Unbreakable. And Shyamalan will be brought up a lot.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable, even knowing it, because you follow it a different way.
Yeah. And Split, once again, Ken, I don't think that movie would have been enjoyable had we known what it was going into it. We did. Remember when we did the review for Split, we wouldn't even spoil it on the Bacon Bit.
And that to me is a total failure. That means that movie fails. You should not have to see that, because I'm talking specifically on that movie, and I apologize if it's a spoiler, but like if the spoiler in this movie happens independent of the movie, and I think that's a total failure.
But at the same time, that's what made the experience so
cool. But knowing that it actually exists in the world of cinema, I was very happy about. But knowing or not knowing what it was made it even a better experience.
Like we're still speaking on general terms.
Yeah.
About this movie.
Because for me, knowing that the story even went there, I'm stoked about. Right? But it would have taken away my woo!
He literally did that in the theaters.
Yeah, so many people did.
But it doesn't take away from the excitement that exists.
I think it totally takes away from the movie. That's all anybody talks about anymore is this twist thrown on in a post-credit thing.
Though. They can. But my question is,
of movie.
Like, if a movie cannot survive a spoiler, is it really a good movie? Because even though I may have known the ending of The Sixth Sense before I ever saw it, because of a companion who spoiled it for me, it was a thing where it still was a good movie. And so I'm trying to figure out what movies are out there. If they get spoiled, they're no longer worth watching anymore.
Glass, for example, since we're talking about Shyamalan. Now You See Me. The ending of that movie kind of ruined it altogether.
Okay,
Hancock.
Yeah.
Yeah, movies like that. Remember Me.
Yeah.
Let's throw that out there.
I have to say goodbye. Remember me.
Okay, that's the thing is, though, if it's a good movie, though, it can withstand spoilers, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't start throwing rocks at the house just because it's strong, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ding up the paint.
I'm going to bring up somebody that is well liked on this show, particularly by somebody, but I think of Nolan. There are Christopher Nolan has movies that have things that can be spoiled. And I don't think there's really anything in his movies that's like, oh, if I knew that, then the movie's ruined.
His movies are made to watch more than
exactly.
once.
Almost all of his movies,
even
I'm like, I want to see that again.
And The Prestige,
which are the two biggest spoilers.
Once again, we're kind of ruining it by saying there are twists there.
But even then, you
still watch it with new eyes every time.
You immediately want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
It's not like, the trick is done.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So just to clarify there, what's the time frame we put on older movies with a twist? Always ask, no set time?
No big deal whatsoever.
I say you need to put a disclaimer on there. At least, like, do you care about if I spoil this? No. Okay.
Yeah, like that casual.
So no set time, but it must be a disclaimer.
Like if someone was
a big twist. If Joel
and I were talking about a Western and we said John Wayne dies, Like, that's half of the Westerns John Wayne is in, right? It's 50-50. So, they're probably going to forget about what Western we were even talking about.
Zach Western?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's 50-50.
Okay, so what about older movies in general? So just older movies.
If it's over 5 years old and there's no major spoilers, spoil away.
Yeah.
I say that's okay in casual conversation. You can have...
Because what do you say? It's a love story.
What came out in 2016? I'm just trying to think of this.
La La Land.
Spoil away. You can have it. You can have it. No, I'm saying you can have it. You can have a conversation now. It's 5 years past. You can have a conversation in a break room
older
about
movies
La La
is
Land.
5 years ago? I was thinking
after 5 years.
25 plus. Yeah.
What?
When I think older movies, I think pre-2000.
Yeah, what about The Vavitch? That came out in 2016.
I think 5 years, and
That's
basically
me.
anyone who wants to see it can see it.
How about this? Arrival.
I think
Keep in
anything...
mind, these are movies without a big twist.
I think anything in the past decade, it still feels like a new movie to me.
It is, but
And so
I think I like the decade mark.
Yeah, I think
Decade?
2 decades. The 90s feels a little bit older now, and even then, the 90s has some movies with stories that maybe still relevant.
You're telling me I can't have a casual conversation in a break room about Captain America: Civil War, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, Finding Dory, Zootopia, The Jungle Book, The Secret Life of Pets, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and a couple others.
Half of those animated movies don't count because they're so simple.
Because they're not real movies to
Yeah.
Because there's no big twist. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not
They're
saying
made for
like
kids.
like Captain America: Civil War probably has it. We could call it a twist.
I would say so.
So that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about just older movies. Like, we're talking about Zootopia.
When I think older movies, I do think like classics.
Can we split the
in this
difference? Yeah, I said
Okay.
5. You said 20. What if we land at 10?
Let's go for it.
10 years. If a movie is over than
I
10
said a
years,
decade.
But
With
that's
no-
like The Dark Knight. That's Slumdog Millionaire.
but there's no major.
You would openly spoil those?
Well, I wouldn't. I'd be
Because
having.
they're not built on
It's not going to
twists.
sit there and be like, okay, this is how it ends. It'll be like I could talk about someone freely and not online or in person and just have a conversation about it.
Good
You-
call.
How about me as an example? You just mentioned 2 movies, and I've only seen one of them.
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable spoiling Slumdog Millionaire for me?
No.
You haven't seen it yet?
I still haven't.
Oh, Zach,
I'm sorry.
I get that to you.
I'm sorry. I know.
No, but Joel and I could talk about specific things in the movie and you would never remember it.
Because I have no context,
Yes.
Right.
or
It would
because
be forgotten.
I'm not smart.
And there's not major
Bad
twists.
memory.
There's minor twists, but there's not major twists in Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I'm just saying, would you feel comfortable if there's a movie let's say I have never seen, I don't know, whatever we mentioned, just a movie.
I
Little
think-
Mermaid.
no,
Do you feel
Little Mermaid.
comfortable?
I think that's on you, Zach. Because if Joel and I were talking about Slumdog Millionaire and you walked in the room and you heard us talk about keywords,
Yeah.
Slumdog Millionaire, you name it, a jai-ho, right? You came in, I think you should leave the room. I don't think you should interrupt our conversation.
Okay.
You should be like, guys, you're talking about
Yeah,
this
but you
movie?
say that all the time
I'm
to
out.
Zach. Get out of here. Don't interrupt our
You
conversation.
shouldn't interrupt our conversation.
Back to your closet,
The
Zach.
adults are talking.
Get back to your hole.
I actually think for the spoilee, you have to leave a room sometimes because you shouldn't be rude and say, quit talking about this. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah.
You're right. It wouldn't be fair of me to say the
After
Dark
10
Knight.
years, it's on the spoilee, not the spoiler.
If I haven't seen
Yes.
a movie from 2008, and I can't be a jerk to somebody and say no, you can't spoil that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's my fault. I mean that's.
By the way, we are literally standing over the water cooler. You're filling up your water, and we're still just talking about the movie. and spoiling.
always.
Yeah. And if you're one of those people that's like, I'm going to be the last person on earth to not see blank, then you just got to expect it's going to be spoiled.
Titanic.
Matt's
That was me in Titanic.
You saw that.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
didn't see Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
he has now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so older movies, you're going to put a guideline of 10 years.
10 years, you can have open conversation online or in person and not get any
10 years
punishments.
casual request.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie? Do you care? Because we're going to talk about it.
So
I don't know.
leave the room.
I think after that, you can just start having a conversation because
Okay.
it's no longer asking the person. It's like, we're going to have a conversation about Slumdog Millionaire. You're welcome to tune out if you want.
there is something about it to say, oh yeah, it came out a decade ago. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it, you're
It's
not
on you.
going to, or
and
you
Little
don't care.
Mermaid was a long time ago.
Yes.
It was closer to the moon landing than it is to
Oh
today.
my gosh.
Knock it off.
Yep. Okay, so let's move into TV series. We talked about movies. Let's move into TV
Maybe
series.
more relevant right now.
Well, especially because of streaming, right?
Yeah. Well,
that's
so,
the
so this
problem.
includes streaming series.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about just current on-air shows versus streaming shows. Because I feel like...
Like network shows? Is that what you mean?
Like, well, a week-to-week release versus all at
Like
once.
Stranger Things all at once.
Yeah, you can't. It's a hard thing to do because some people will binge watch as soon as it's all released and spend every waking hour watching everything, and then get to the end and want to talk about it on the internet. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, don't do that. You're a jerk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, you saw it first. Congratulations. We should just give them buttons that just say I saw it first. They can put that up on social media and be like, I saw it first, and everyone can like that.
Yeah.
Because
let's talk about the current on-air shows and then the streaming shows, because I've lived through 2 major series in a workplace, namely The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. I have
Walking Dead
examples.
Walking Dead isn't over.
Oh, who cares?
Is it not?
It's not.
So what these were, I had personally had coworkers that watched both of these shows, and so every Monday, like Game of Thrones is always on Sunday. Every Monday there was like the huddle in the corner.
I've been working. I was going to say Downton Abbey was a big talking point when it was coming out, and then I remember specifically Lost. We would literally go out to the water cooler and discuss it together.
Smart. Yeah. Kind as well.
Then that kind of brings me up to what I was going to say is we would do that week to week. I feel like for live on-air shows or like a weekly release, you have 6 days before you can talk big spoilers. Meaning you can talk about it. You don't really talk about it in general company until right before the next episode's going to air. Because if you are wanting to know about the show, the next episode's going to happen. And so you're already going to be behind, if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Like about a week.
And I think the left behind thing, because I think social media moves so fast. Within 2 days, those hashtags really aren't used anymore.
Right.
Like the world moves forward, not talking about the show that came out 2 nights ago.
But
like Game
general
of Thrones,
enthusiasm,
big news for 2 days and then nothing.
But that's the problem, is I feel like...
And then it's irrelevant to even talk about it at that point.
It is, but at the same time, I feel like people are way too quick.
It's a privacy thing in person.
So you're saying you can't spoil an episode until
no unprotected big spoilers. Like
until the next episode.
Say there was an episode of Little Mermaid. Okay. When
it's an episodic series.
When King Triton
we're gonna make a new show. It's the Daughters of Triton.
Yes, and King Triton when he gets turned into a little seaweed creature, that little thing at the bottom of the ocean.
Unfortunate soul, sure.
Yeah, when he does that if that happens at the end of the episode, that you don't talk about it in mixed company, mind you. You can talk about it with other people who are in the know, but in mixed company, you can't bring it up or talk about it until just before the next episode is going to air.
Oh, man, that's tricky. I don't know about that.
I would follow your Lost rules, where you find a disclosed place and you talk about it.
And that's
privately.
the preferred thing. I'm talking about the people who are just like, I just got to put this out there. King Triton is a seaweed creature. And just kind of say that. Like, I can't yell across the room, hey, kid, did you see that King Triton was a seaweed creature? Don't do that until just before the next episode is going to air.
I think there's a harsh...
Because everyone who wants to see it should have seen it by then.
Harsh penalty till the end of the season.
I was going to say, till the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think the season has to end.
And then 6 days after.
I think it has to be into the hiatus before you're talking about it. Because there are shows right now that are happening, not to date this episode of Bacon Sale, but like there's streaming shows on Disney Plus and things like that. I'm not caught up on. If I'm not caught up on them, let's say there's a spoiler that happens in episode 4, but you're on episode 7, I might not get to that, and I'm already out of that
the
realm.
conversation.
Yeah.
So what would you guys say then?
End of the
season.
But there's things you want to talk about.
Oh, but as far as revealing spoilers
then
and being that person,
we're talking about talking freely, not talking at all.
I'm saying this is where the harsh penalties come in.
Well, even after the finale, how long do you wait?
6 days.
So you're saying a week.
I think it leaves the cultural mindset a week after things end.
So you're saying you can't talk about the series.
You can talk about it. You can't spoil it.
Well, you can't say King Triton got turned into a weed creature.
No, you can say I really enjoyed the end of that episode.
There was a surprise cameo by Scuttle at the wedding.
I think you can say I was blown away by the ending of season 2 of episode 3 of Little Mermaid.
Even then, when did Breaking Bad end?
Years ago,
2015, I believe. Yeah,
something like that. I didn't watch it till 2019.
Yeah, well, that's on spoiler.
And it was not spoiled for me,
which it may have been, but it just wasn't context. So it was in one ear, not the other. So I feel like a week is fair after the series finale. I'll say that for on-air shows. For streaming shows, here's my proposal, gentlemen.
Okay.
1 day per episode after it ends. Like it comes out, you have if there's 14 episodes, you have to wait 2 weeks before you talk spoilers. Because you have to give people time to watch one a day. Because some people have busy
but not
schedules.
The junkies who are watching 5 episodes
those people,
a day.
Those people who stay up.
Been us, by the way.
The middle of the night.
We've been there.
I've never stayed up in the middle of the night for a TV
Lost?
airing. No. Like
back in the day when you watched the DVDs of Lost, how many episodes did you watch in a row?
That's different because that was binge watching on DVD. What I'm saying is when a new episode airs, some people are staying up to 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
So they can watch it and then talk about it while everyone's asleep, and you get up in the morning and there's spoilers. And you're like, oh, thank you. Thank you for that. I haven't even had a chance to turn on my TV yet. Yeah. They should get their button. I saw first. Good job, you.
Yeah.
Good job. So I would say 1 day per episode for a streaming series. If it's 23 episodes they drop on 1 day, you got to wait 23 days before you drop spoilers.
I want to do a compromise. I want to say 2 weeks. I want to say 2 weeks because generally with shows now, you're getting 12 episodes.
So you're saying a half a day per episode?
I know. I'm saying because you're not going to get
most series
you're
now are 8 episodes.
Yeah, you're getting 8 to 12 episodes.
Well, that's
for
8
shows
to
now.
12 days.
So
I'm saying 1 day per episode.
So that's what I'm saying.
streaming.
Compromise. I would say 2 weeks for anything.
For anything.
For anything, whether it's 24 episodes or 8.
I like my formula. It makes sense.
He likes his formulas.
So
You got law. You got law.
Your formula is based on series length. Then
The longer
so
the series, the longer
generally
you have to
you're
wait.
probably about 2 weeks.
Yes.
but your formula is accounting for longer series.
But Joel, if you talk about
Or
a
shorter
show,
ones.
if you talk about like a full season, 22 episodes of a show, and you wait a month to talk about it,
Maybe-
like you are irrelevant to that.
Well, okay,
point.
what if we say, and not to talk about it, to talk spoilers.
Yes.
What if we say this? 1 per episode up to 14 days.
Yes, I agree.
Deal.
Okay, deal.
All right.
1
Boom.
day per episode up to 14 days.
This is
All right.
official stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's funny, real quick about that, about shows with twists. Like if I mention a twist from Westworld, no one would really care except for the people that may watch it, but it's a small group of people. Like it's not really going to matter to these people, and it may even get people to watch it. Maybe I said, hey, so-and-so's a robot, which, by the way, is not a spoiler because
Everyone's a robot. in
could
this world.
be, right?
Yeah.
But, Joel, you'll never care because you may never care to watch it. That said, I would wait 2 weeks to mention that.
Fair.
Did you guys settle on an official current on-air shows? So Kent, you were saying 6 days after the finale. Did you agree to that, Joel?
Yeah. Yeah, I said 6 days as well.
Okay. 6 days after the finale
It's basically
for a
a
current
week.
on-air show.
Yeah, a week.
Yeah,
after.
I-
So
It's a
you're
week,
saying
yeah.
you can't talk. You can't
Big
talk
spoilers.
openly about the entire season.
I'm saying you can give general enthusiasm, like, wow, I can't believe I had that coming. And then someone can say, I'd like to have a private conversation about that.
How I Met Your Mother.
Ugh.
I'm sorry, I just triggered Joel. But if that show ends and you're so upset about what just happened, right? In any episode, it doesn't have to be any particular one. Do you immediately go on Twitter and rant about it? Or do you wait? Because you're kind of giving a spoiler if you mention your anger.
Well, first of all, I was way behind the curve on that one. If
Were
I
you?
remember
You
right.
didn't watch it
I
live?
don't think I saw any of them live.
I feel like you did.
Did I?
I don't know.
I don't remember. When did it end?
That was the Game of Thrones for me. Everybody immediately
Game of Thrones
was
is probably the better example.
complaining about
Yeah.
Game of Thrones every episode of that last season because you don't have to know anything about.
But
Look, I've
general
never seen a
complaints.
single episode.
General complaints
Everybody
are fine.
knows that it's
I
terrible.
hated. Like, you could say I hated the ending. I hated what they did to the characters. I really didn't like what they did with. You could even say I don't like what they did with blank, a specific character name. I think that's fine because that's your opinion about a character, and you don't say
But
what
it does
happened.
tell you who survived the show.
Not necessarily. You're saying I don't like what happened with blank. You could be saying so and so died.
Yeah, but then they survive up until a certain point.
Maybe. Maybe they come back as a zombie.
But it's funny though. The last 2 seasons, I feel like Game of Thrones was sacred, or maybe I just didn't care to look up anything. I feel like it was sacred up until the last 2 seasons when people were kind of showing their
You mean the
discontent with the
HBO
show.
seasons?
Yes,
And that's when they diverged from the books.
But I feel like people were ruthless and memes were immediate. And so spoilers were out, especially because it was like it aired 2 hours before in other parts of the country. And so it was spoiled even before they aired.
Okay.
And that is where it is kind of on you to stay off Twitter for the night or the next 2 days.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So, citing a recent example, what if the marketing for the show spoils that quicker? So, I'll use The Mandalorian as an example. They would have a reveal in a show, and then 4 days later, there would be a poster on social media talking about that reveal.
Yeah, same thing with the Marvel series that's out now because I want to keep the show pretty evergreen.
Yeah.
One of the actors on social media said, "Can't wait for the next big reveal," and I'm like, "Great!" Now I'm expecting someone of a certain
medium
caliber.
spoiler. That's
It's a
not a
medium
big spoiler.
but I think it's a mistake for them to do, even though they're just creating publicity for people to watch the show.
Wait. I want to mention this just real quick.
Go ahead.
Speaking of The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
there's this one post on social media where they'll do all the time. Well, they'll say spoiler, and they'll instead of a character's name, and they'll say we're going to talk all about spoilers exit from the show.
Yeah.
And then the URL literally had the actor's name in it, like right below it, and I'm like, yeah, great job,
Good job, guys.
great
You tried
job there.
real
Not
hard.
doing spoilers. I feel like spoilers need to be protected under a spoiler, or you have to click to know more information on social media.
I would say avoid publications on social media altogether because
they're so happy to spoil us stuff.
They're going for clicks, and
They'll
go
get
for
the most clicks the next day.
I think they're getting worse.
even like minute of or right before.
I think they're getting worse too. Like they're
Yes.
throwing out stuff. People are like,
And you get the
I haven't
image
even
of who
a chance
died,
to watch it.
for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
And so don't follow him at all. I
See
mean,
Ursula's corpse on the ground, and you're like, what happened?
she's gigantic.
Yeah.
Okay. What about season finales and series finales?
I guess we kind of describe this.
You just kind of
as far as like how long you wait.
I think it's going to be a week or two.
So
before
you're now
spoilers.
saying that whether you're mid-season or end of season, the same rule is going to apply. It's a week out or 6 days after the finale before you can talk about the show.
You can have discussions, but just don't get into big spoilers until this time. Like I don't want to say you can't talk about the movies because people want to share their experience. But if you're going to have spoiler discussions, take it to a private conversation.
Okay, I'm going to challenge this a little bit.
How dare you?
What about TV shows that are running on a network, but you have people who are waiting for it to come to streaming? Think Better Call Saul.
That's kind of on the spoilery.
Yeah,
I think
It's on me.
Spoilery.
I just barely watched Better
What if
Call
I don't
Saul.
have TV? I don't have a TV
No,
subscription.
if you don't have Netflix
Yeah.
or Disney Plus,
No, I'm
or
saying
HBO
I don't-
Max,
I-
no, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that's a problem because you can't watch these shows.
But what if I don't have AMC?
Right.
And I can't watch the first run of a show, and I have to wait for it to come to Netflix, which usually doesn't come until a season later.
Then I think you're just going to have to tread careful. You're going to have to tread lightly, to put it on Breaking Bad terms. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really threatened by Joel.
Thank you.
I
Say my name.
I feel like it's not going to ruin your life if you find out something crazy about the show.
Yeah.
This won't be a big impactful moment like we've seen in movies.
Or it will be in one ear and out the other.
Totally. For example, Better Call Saul, I really didn't know any of the characters. And if I found out something happened to a character, I wouldn't have cared.
And you mentioned that there is a fairly big moment at the end of the 4th season.
Yes.
That you said you were completely shocked by. And I was like, you really didn't hear about that?
Yeah.
But it's just when you don't have
You
context
hear
for the show,
about it without context.
Yeah.
And even if I did hear about it, that's on me. I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I waited years and Joel begging me for years to watch this show.
But what if you're not waiting years? What if you were going to binge a show the moment it comes out on Netflix? You were just waiting for it to hit a format that you have.
I feel like if you're excited enough for a show that you're really, really worried about spoilers,
Mute it.
you will find a way to see it.
Okay.
or just mute it entirely.
Yeah.
And don't follow that fan
Because
base.
I
It
will
be
never
ruined.
find a way to see it. I'm always going to wait for it to come out on Netflix. I don't watch TV shows. I don't have TV.
But your enthusiasm and the hype. But if they came out with like a Grease 2 TV series,
I'd watch it every day.
right? But it's
Multiple
not,
times.
But it's going to be on like Paramount Plus.
Oh,
Then
I
it's
guess I'm
like,
saying-
you're
then
out.
I'm
You
going to
go-
do the free trial and binge.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
you're enthusiastic enough, you will find
there
a
are other
way.
ways to see it.
Not a sponsor.
The library.
But I mean, and we're talking about like stuff that's coming out now. Older shows.
Okay, what's an older show? Let's get it into this.
Well, I mean, I have kind of a thought here, if I may.
Cheers. What?
Oh, definitely. Cheers.
Yeah.
That's old. This is my proposal, gentlemen.
What about MASH?
Yeah, older.
3 months per season after the series finale for big spoilers. For example, Supernatural just ended. It had 15 seasons. It just ended in November 2020. So we can start talking big spoilers of Supernatural here in 3.75 years.
But then how does that make any sense? Because
Well, if you start now, it would take that long to watch.
you can do it 6 days after the finale.
This gets tricky.
Let's say,
I'll put it back in the movie context. If it's a regular show with a regular ending, no big wow moment, like a Cheers thing, which
Yeah.
is Cheers has a good ending,
but it's not.
but it's not like it's not going to kill the show.
you're not
exactly.
there for the story arc. You're there for the day to day.
But if you have like I don't know the Supernatural ending yet. But if you have like an ending, I'm assuming what's going to happen in Supernatural or a Breaking Bad type ending.
which is it's a story arc.
I think you have to put a disclaimer on it if there's a twist. If it's a big
Yes.
show, you have to put a disclaimer.
Not even
on
a
it.
twist.
Let's-
Because if it's a big show with a big reveal ending,
2 months. 2 months for a big surprise series finale.
guys, the Seavers move from Growing Pains.
Ah,
Yeah,
Little Mermaid.
I think 2 months to discuss spoilers with people, because think about Game of Thrones, a show that just ended recently in a very controversial way, right? People were talking about that immediately, but if you're going to like meet someone and be like, hey, what'd you think about the ending of Game of Thrones? You're going to talk about the ending. There may be mixed company there that may hear you, but they've probably heard it or seen memes already. I would say 2 months, they cannot get really mad at you.
This is only for big reveal.
Big
endings.
reveal.
Big.
I think a week
big shows, big
a
endings.
week after for a normal show that ends
Once again,
normally.
I want to clarify. We're not saying you can't talk about it. We're
Yeah.
saying you can't say. Once again, King Triton turned
Yes.
into he's can't destroy the contract because it's legal.
And law must always be observed here.
Yes.
No matter what. Right?
I think there's some shows you can go back on and
some shows are in pop culture, like you talked about MASH. Cheers.
Yeah, Frasier.
Yeah, yeah. What could you spoil there, right?
Yeah.
And so you're just more so talking about the story.
Well, I remember, for example, I have not seen The Sopranos all the way through. I know exactly how it ends because everyone talked about it. It became part of pop culture. Yeah,
right?
Newhart. Yeah.
You know about that saying elsewhere.
Yeah, some of the great TV finales.
Because it's part of pop culture and it's just ingratiated there. And because if you're a mass consumer of pop culture, you're going to know about it. And so it's just an open conversation at that point.
Okay.
So where we land?
I would say
2 months after series
2 months
finale
after
for a big show.
A twist.
And then we're still doing the 1 week or 2 weeks?
The 1 week. The 1 week or 2 weeks, it's fine.
Let's say 2 weeks after a
Rule of
series
twos.
finale.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love this.
For a regular show, 2 weeks after series finales, you're golden to talk of big spoilers.
2 months
Once again,
for a big show.
observing spoiler law, and then 2 months for a big one.
Correct.
Okay.
So 2 months and 2 weeks. So does that now change the 6-day one we talked about earlier?
Yes, that would be the 2 weeks.
That's the 2 weeks.
That's the 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
Then 2 months
Yeah.
for a regular show.
We'll probably write this down.
It does. Zach is writing it down. It does feel weird, by the way, to be like, okay, guys, spoiler alert for Seinfeld.
Well, so yeah,
Here's how it ended.
Hey,
But
it's
is
been
a
2
twist.
months. It's been 2 months. Spoilers, though. Friends isn't funny.
Oh,
dare
you're
you.
one of those people.
How dare you?
It's just a meme.
Oh, he's a millennial that thinks Friends isn't funny.
It's not.
It is.
There's a yeah.
All right, guys, we've talked a lot about this. Let's wrap this up.
Okay.
We hope we've helped you.
Gentlemen, it is now time for the sentencing part of this. What are the punishments and penalties of breaking these rules?
I want to bring it back a little bit because I think there is, like I said, some responsibility on the spoilee. Because I think we're going to put the punishments on the spoiler.
Yes. Although the spoilee, I think the punishment for the spoilee is inherently getting spoiled.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was going to say. Like, we live in a pop culture world where there's not much to talk about other than celebrities and shows you watch or whatever, you know.
Yeah, who talks about politics and religion these days?
Please don't. And so in a pop culture world, you're playing Minesweeper. Anytime you get online or you get in a big group of people and they're having a conversation and you hear something, someone says Mandalorian, you're like, you're playing Minesweeper. You may hit a bomb and be like, yep, it's been ruined. And that's, you're going to have to be fine with it and not be overly angry if the rules have been followed.
Light spoiler for Hunger Games, Katniss shoots arrows.
Sure.
And there was this video of like Katniss shooting arrows at funny things. And I was like, oh, funny. So it was like, you know, she'd shoot an arrow and then it would cut to another movie where something would happen. And all of a sudden, there was a huge Game of Thrones spoiler right in the middle of it. And I went, that's on me.
Okay.
It was a mistake. And it wasn't it was a big twist, but it was more a thing where I just kind of went, okay, that was my fault. I can't get mad at anyone because I chose to watch this.
Yes. Also, if you're a super fan of something, you better watch it.
Better watch it quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a really high likelihood that it will be spoiled.
Yeah. I've reached that point before. You know, I'm currently watching a series that I didn't intend to watch because, you know, I've been
don't you
seeing
think
the spoilers.
Being on this show in the past year, Zach, we like force you to watch things.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, we're going to ruin them for you when we talk about them.
But luckily, I'm a person who doesn't care about spoilers.
Yeah, you really don't.
I don't.
Yeah. And there are other people out there.
Because I the only thing I care about is the visual side of it. You can tell me all you want.
And your family.
It's because of my theater background. Like I read scripts before I actually see the show. So I just want to see how it
It's a
plays
different
out.
experience. Reading a script is a different experience from seeing it on the screen.
Which is
or seeing it
why
on stage.
the Shakespeare should never be read in schools, but that's a different thing.
Oh, I enjoy reading Shakespeare so much.
But that's the thing is for me, you know, I'm fine taking that on, but I also choose to be in the pop culture world, and I also choose to not watch everything. So that's on me.
I think for the spoilee, relax, make better friends who aren't going to spoil things or they're going to treat things as sacred, or follow better people.
Yeah, online.
Yes.
Okay, I have a proposal.
Okay, let's hear it.
If someone,
Already?
Well, if someone breaks,
This is a penalty.
We're not
right?
there yet, Joel.
we're not the penalties. Oh,
Proposal.
This is a penalty I'm proposing. So if someone breaks one of these social media rules that we have now set up as law and law, I think they have if they post a big unprotected big spoiler, they have a social media ban for 1 month. They get suspended for 1 month.
How are you going to enforce that?
I'm going to talk to Twitter. They're suspending everyone these days. So
You're going to hack into their account and call someone a pansy.
Yeah, exactly.
It will be over a month.
I'm going to say they have to get a social media ban for 1 month.
1 month.
1 month.
Not 1 week.
Because these are the jerks who are doing it, being like, I saw it first, I'm going to spoil it for everyone else, ha, ha, ha.
So
And
you're
I'm
going to
like,
comment on someone's post and say, hey, it's best that you're in the penalty box.
You're in the
yeah,
penalty box
they get
for a month.
penalty box for a month.
You don't
on
get to
social
talk
media.
about this for a month.
Yeah, for anything for a month.
No WandaVision for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my proposal.
I like it,
Okay.
but I think you need to be a little more underhanded.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say someone spoils something major for you, right? And you kind of just have to go, Great. I really want to see that myself, but
Ariel loses her voice.
right.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. So what you do
That's in the trailer.
is you make pretty good friends with that person, and you just kind of hang out for about a year, and then you're like, hey, Beauty and the Beast is coming out. I'm going to see Beauty and the Beast before this person, and you plan this. And then all of a sudden, hey, spoiler alert, can I spoil Beauty and the Beast a little bit?
I think I'm going to allow it.
The Beast turns into an ugly man. And you basically, as soon as you see that movie before your friend, you text them the night you see it and say, this happens, this happens, this happens. And you spoil the next major release for them.
I like how my punishment is like this law that I'm creating in this mythical world we live in, and yours actually is a
Yours is
nefarious
like- it's
plan.
like, okay, what you do-
You are insidious,
It's
my
straight
friend.
up revenge.
You befriend a movie critic that a friend of yours is dating.
Yeah.
And then you go to a
Yeah.
movie screening with
I'm with
him.
you.
Wait, this sounds
Yeah.
familiar. No, I'm just saying, because you kind of want to do an eye for an eye, right? If someone spoils something, you're going to be like,
Right.
what do you love? I'm going to ruin that for you.
I kind of have a similar punishment.
Okay.
Another punishment I want to put out here. Once again, this is my mythical world where I'm creating law.
Yeah.
But I say if someone posts a big spoiler, unprotected, just kind of out there and ruins something big, they then have to wait for the next movie they're very much looking forward to. They have to wait until it's released on video before they can see it. They have to wait all that time.
So you're this omniscient being in this world,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and in this world. But
And you're creating like these rules that people have to abide by.
yes, for creating law, I'm creating punishment with it.
Yeah.
And so that's
But,
I think,
but also we should be creating law for people like, say, on Twitter, hey, why did you put that there? Delete your tweet real
Yeah.
quick. It's because, it was ruined for me, but it may be
But I
ruined
just
for
like the
someone
idea of
else.
this person having to navigate that Minesweeper field
Yeah.
for the whole time. A movie they're very excited for, and they don't get to see it until it comes out on DVD.
I get
streaming.
it. I think in the real world, when someone spoils
I'm not-
something,
where I'm not
yeah,
an
I mean, I
omniscient
like
being.
your world. Let's be honest. But I think if someone spoils something, everyone listening should send that person this episode,
Oh yeah,
and they must listen and
You're
report.
implying that bacon sale is a punishment. I don't like that context. I don't know if I agree with this.
but it does feel like there should be like maybe we should create a graphic where it's like this is spoiler law.
Yeah.
And I like that law thing, especially.
Right.
But like putting it out there, and they can just share that and be like, you violated this.
Well, because then it brings it into the conversation, because someone may accidentally get so excited that they end up spoiling a big reveal in a
Yeah.
season finale, for example.
Oh.
But they may not know it.
But people, if you, I want to
You
say no
okay?
spoilers.
What's going on?
Because it drives me nuts. People are like, this isn't really a spoiler, but Ariel decides to stay on land.
yeah.
And it's like, you just said this isn't really a spoiler, but, and then you spoiled it.
Right. Yeah.
Or people that
That's
do
the
that-
opposite of a spoiler alert,
And
by
I
the way.
hate that when people do that. People aren't good. Some people just aren't good about knowing what is a
So
spoiler.
it's
what
a
isn't.
spoilee. Can you just go, stop? Like, you should probably just cut them off.
If they say this isn't a spoiler, but you have to say, excuse me,
yeah.
no, you don't get to
Especially
say
if
that.
you've said I
Say
don't
you're a spoiler,
want
but-
spoilers.
Yeah.
That's the law. You have
But
to say you're a
I do
spoiler.
think to even start the conversation with someone that accidentally got so excited about something, they spoiled out, this isn't a spoiler, but I'm really excited this happened.
Right.
I think you should bring into the conversation, hey, you kind of messed up there. Here's this infographic,
Okay.
or here's this show, and consume it so you learn for next time.
Yeah.
I think that if you, I think spoilers are annoying. And so if you were spoiled, you are annoyed. Therefore, that the spoiler should be annoyed as well. So they should be forced to listen to a playlist of 16 hours of Loveful by the Cardigans.
I love that song.
That's the only thing they can listen to for 16 hours, and then they can resume their normal listening.
I'm going to go to Joel's world.
I kind of like this. I just spoil people so I can listen to it. Love me.
16
Say
hours?
that you love me.
16 hours.
16
Yeah.
hours.
Can there be an eye for an eye? Can you spoil something? Or
Fair.
or is it a war at that point?
No, I think it's fair.
Though it's hard to be like, oh yeah, well I'm going to spoil this for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you just think of a TV show
I think
and something that you know they
no,
have.
I
Take the
think-
high road, Kent.
No,
I
I'm talking
think
a
it's not
1 year
a-
revenge plan.
No, I'm not saying this is like an immediate like retort. Like you're not firing back at them.
Yeah.
It's more like, okay, you've just spoiled me. Here, give me a list of movies you'd like to see, and I will choose one to spoiler for you.
See, you like the revenge plan too.
Well, yeah, it's an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
in spoiler land. Which brings me to my third and final
hear
punishment:
it.
a swift kick to the shin. Someone
Just violence, straight up violence.
Someone does that.
I like it. Approved.
On Twitter, if they suddenly spoil something, you find out where they live, ring the doorbell. When they answer, poof, in the shin. Then you walk away.
Just one kick.
One
to the
swift
shin.
kick to the shin.
I think these are all nice. So we have like a social media ban for a month. Spoil them back. Wait until they have to wait until they're home release to see it. I don't know about that one. 16 hours of the Loveful. Swift
Oh,
kick
but
to
you
the
like
shin.
that one.
What if you just send them the list? Say, hey, you spoiled this. You can pick one of these punishments.
I think that's fair.
So but they have to pick one.
I'm going to get it printed on a card. Oh, you spoiled this for me. You may pick one of these punishments.
But then one of the punishments is, hey, you have to look at this infographic and learn the rules of Baconsale.
I didn't write
They're
that
gonna
down.
pick that one
I
every
am
time.
not putting Baconsale as a punishment. Baconsale is a joy.
No, it's not. Don't think of it as a punishment. Think of it as a rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Learning
This
isn't fun.
This is when they go to driver's school after they get like a DUI or something like that. What is that called?
That's not fun.
It's not fun, but it's rehabilitation.
Yes, I agree.
It's not a punishment.
Is Baconsale a vegetable now?
Yes,
It's good for you.
So there we go.
Little tangential. Sure.
A little bit. A little bit. I'm omniscient now, apparently.
Yeah.
When have you not been?
And I will get revenge on you.
So let us know if you agree with our counsel that we've made here today. This really wasn't. We didn't talk to each other about this before.
No.
So let us know if you agree with our terms that we've come up with.
law.
Zach, you want to give a quick rundown of what we talked about?
The main things we talked about with the movies and TV, which is if it's a big movie, 3 release weekends, so people have time to see it. If it's a movie with a twist, double that at 6 weekends before you can talk about it. If it's an older movie that's with the twist, again, it kind of gets a little murky, but we'll say from now moving forward, really you should just always ask if you can talk about it. There's no set time. Then older movies, we'll say 10 years. After that, they have had plenty of opportunity. Now with TV shows, current on-air shows, 2 weeks after the finale, and then if it's a streaming show, 1 day per episode that the show has up to 14 days.
So specific. I love it.
After a series finale, though, like I said, 2 weeks. For older shows, has to be 2 months per season after the finale.
And once again, talking big spoilers. You can talk about the show. Please talk about the show. But don't talk about big spoilers until after those times.
You can talk about how great a show it is without talking about the big spoilers.
And it's probably just best to follow the law.
Yes.
Right? Always ask
Spoiler
if it's
law.
okay to talk about this
And remind us law.
movie or TV show.
Remind us what law is.
Look around. Make sure you have the right audience. Ask, hey, have you seen this? Can I talk about it? And then warn. Spoiler alert 5, 6, 7, 8.
There you go.
I love it. I love it
that's
so
great.
much.
Yeah.
So let us know if you agree with that. Let us know if you have any rules or laws or punishments that we may have missed, because we'd like to hear those too on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We love hearing from you. But before we go, spoiler alert, we'd like to thank our patrons, including Sweet Bottom Cakes, Jessica Drought, Sean Sanquist, Plot Twist Media, Lady Terry-Ann Fidley of Wigtonshire, Just Plain Old Kyler, Jennifer Kukowski, Glow Daniel, Braden Winterton, Babs, Alicia Bass, Adrian Gray, and Adam and Rachel Crump. Thank you, patrons. We
love
really
you.
do appreciate you. And then we have our Bacon Council, which includes The Shadow, Stephen Ross, Ryan and Marley Farron, our favorite couple, the Madsons, Nicole D. Hell, a.k.a. Hellstorm, Go Knights Go, Matt's Chris Anderson, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, and Reverse Listener. Thank you, patrons.
Thank you.
Thank you. Spoiler alert, we love you.
That's no spoiler
There's no
there.
spoilers.
Yeah.
But if you want to find me, you can find me at 786Joel on Twitter, or you can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform every Saturday night online for free. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, it's ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. More importantly, make sure that you're following Baconsale. That's at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. Then like that Facebook page. While you're doing that, stop by tpublic.com/Baconsale. Get yourself some merch. And then if you liked the show and want to support it some more, go ahead and go to patreon.com/Baconsale, where support starts at just $3 a month. You'll get fun benefits like extra episodes that happen basically weekly of us just talking about whatever's happening in the world. Also, you can get yourself some behind the scenes videos, transcripts of our chats, a lot of fun stuff over at patreon.com/Baconsale.
So until next time, spoiler alert, Flotsam and Jetsam die.
Joel's the hype man right now.
Yeah.
Hey,
Young.
can you believe they did this? Stop talking to me. Run away.
Calm down, spoiling
because
Green.
I
This is literally the worst way to start. Go on.
like this immigrant song.
Wow.
Theme song.
Slam on Hans Zimmer right now.
He's a hack.
In a
world.
Thank you.
We live in a society.
I like getting sensual messages from Kent.
That's recorded.
No. I think it's fun, though. I like it. There are stars in Star Wars?
Yeah.
Zach, I will continue to send you saucy messages.
Please do. Joel, words are hard.
He succeeded at words, Joel.
I did a 4-letter word and you don't have to edit it out.
Ursula almost marries Eric, but then Scuttle breaks the necklace, causing Ariel to get her voice back. Oh, wow!
Ursula's actually hot. Not that you're not a jerk.
Yeah, but not a jerk. Spoiler. I can't believe the crab didn't die.
Yeah.
The chef totally would have got him.
Yeah. It's totally unrealistic. This is what lunch did to me.
Darlene, have you read the new Grisham?
Well, who is Becky with the good hair? Do we know?
I don't think there's any spoilers.
Do we care?
Because I have no context?
Yes.
Right.
Or because I'm not smart.
Hey, Kenneth, did you see that King Triton was a seaweed creature?
There are other ways to see it. The library.
No WandaVision for you. You're applying that Baconsale as a punishment, and I don't like that. I am not putting Baconsale as a punishment. Baconsale is a joy.
I like my formula.